Welcome to this episode of Janet Today, Janet Tomorrow, Janet Forever, the podcast where two cousins discuss all things Janet Jackson. Today we're going to talk about Janet Jackson's No Sleep. My name is Courtney, and I'm here with my cousin.
Cousin Kam.
Hey, Kam. What's going on your way?
Well, today I am having a venture of cooking neck bone.
Neck bones, really?
I recently found out as an African-American woman that I should be able to cook neck bones.
Oh, I might be in trouble.
And the reason why I'm learning how to cook is because I'm actually tired of eating chicken and ribs. So I was like, let me try something different. So we gave it a try. Right now, it's not going too good.
Oh, man. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, so right now I'm currently putting every soul season that I have in my kitchen in this water, trying to make it decent.
I have so many questions, but I'm not going to ask any of them because my black card is always in jeopardy. So I'm just going to move on. All right, now let's get to our girl. We got a lot to talk about in the world of Janet Jackson.
Yes, we do, because Janet is out on tour. And she's getting great reviews.
She is, yes. Every time I see a review, I'm getting more and more excited as I think about them coming. August 3rd is the day they'll be here in Charlotte, and I'm so excited about that. But with this tour kind of kicking up is a lot more activity on social media.
Yes, I was like, is there a video every hour almost? It feels like every day.
I'm at work and this little thing is chiming. And, you know, I was like, I need to turn this off. But then I was like, but Janet might need me. So I can't turn it off. Super exciting. Every time that little chime comes, I'm like, oh, is it Janet?
Now, one of the coolest things I saw was her crashing a jam film party. There's a video of her singing Remember the Time, which is one of my favorite Michael Jackson songs. Not the favorite, but one of the favorite. And she was jamming it out in the club.
I thought that was really cool. So apparently a group in Austin put together a little pre-party. They were just going to get the jam fam together and hang out and enjoy one another before the concert. I believe it was the following night. And Janet and her dancers came through. They just showed up at the bar where they were gathering. And they all came through and hung out with them for a little while. And I was like, that is awesome.
And then also, did you see the video about the tattoo parlor getting the tattoos?
I did. That one was in Cincinnati. And I liked that one too.
We need to go get matching tattoos.
Yeah, that's going to be a no.
What?
You know, I thought about like, would I get a tattoo? And I guess the answer is yes. But I don't know. I haven't been convicted enough of something that I want on my body forever. So am I open to the idea? Yes. But do I have an idea worth putting permanently on my body? Currently, the answer is no.
Well, I have one. And I'm dying to get a second one and a third one. But the thing is, with me, I want something that's unique. Everybody has the same butterfly tattoo, music notes, the microphone. So it's like trying to find something that only I have is the only hold up for me.
It seemed like there was like 3, 4, 5 dancers who were in the shop getting tattoos. So I guess that's a pretty cool memento, right? When you've been on tour and you've bonded and this is your family. And another thing you can say is like, we got tattoos together.
That'll be a great story to tell your kids. You see this right here?
Now, I don't know if Janet got one. She was in the shop and she was wincing as Gil got his, but I don't know if she added to her collection. I guess we'll know if she tells us.
Yeah, she later on we might find out if she got one.
Yes. So you like the visit to the tattoo parlor. I really love the video she released, I think a little later that same night in Cincinnati, of them playing Jenga. It was so fantastic. This full 2 minutes of like planning how to lose gracefully, like how not to get knocked out by the giant Jenga.
Well, I have a confession because
was it?
I've never played Jenga. I've never played it.
You're not alone. I don't think I have ever played Jenga. And even worse, I actually own Jenga. I remember buying it. It was like clearance $5. And I was like, this is cool. I should get it. But I haven't played it.
Can you play Jenga by yourself?
You know, I'm good for hosting a game night. So I've had several game nights and still Jenga has not come out. But I'm also turning into my mother, right? Like once you buy stuff for yourself, because this is what I was thinking just the other day. I was like, we're planning to have a game night in August. And I was like, we could play Jenga. And then my next thought was, but I don't want to scratch my table.
Oh my God. Put a towel down or something.
That was my next thought.
Ooh, okay. We're going to move on from that because we don't want you to scratch up your table. You brought up an interesting post that you saw about a wedding photo.
I literally just typed in hashtag Janet Jackson Instagram to see what came up. And a picture came up of a wedding photo. It was a couple. And Janet was in the picture. And the lady who posted the picture was saying, thank you, Janet Jackson, for making, delighting our guests and delighting. It was her sister, I think. So her sister and brother-in-law making their day. And I was just like, the picture actually had 10 likes. Like nobody knew that this woman had gone to someone's wedding. And I think it was just when they were out and about in Cincinnati, she just happened upon it and they asked her to be in the photo. Now, I don't know, I wasn't there, but that's kind of the way the post made it sound.
Yeah.
Was that she was just kind of there and they asked her because they did take pictures all over. I used to live in Cincinnati, so I was trying to figure out where they were. And I did figure out where they were. Like I knew where the tattoo parlor was. I knew where some of the pigs, there were some postings of them sitting on pigs. I knew where some of the pigs were. So I'm like, man, I know where y'all are. I was like, unfortunately, I haven't been there in 6 years, but that's not the point.
What's so funny about the picture to me is Janet got her hand on the man's shoulder, like, "What's up, homie? Hey," like they went to grade school with each other. Like, "What's up?"
I didn't even notice that. Now I gotta go back and look. That's too funny. She made it work, right? Like she looked like she should be there, even though we know she shouldn't.
Yeah,
they're all fancy dressed, and she's in her. I call it her uniform. So she's in her uniform. The black shirt, black pants, and like they're in their wedding attire, and she just fit right on in, like only Janet Jackson could do.
Like, yeah, okay, y'all need me right here. Okay, let's take a picture.
Right. She's so gracious, though. We really stand not just a living legend, but we really stand maybe the kindest, most human, most compassionate legend ever. I'm sure that's not what she set out to do that day, but she was gracious enough to do it when asked. And so I just really appreciate that about her always trying to give her fans what they want, within reason. But she is not afraid to be in close contact with her fans and enjoy their company as they enjoy hers. So I just love that about her.
You should get married so we can try to get her to come to yours so I can show her my demo.
Listen, okay, first off,
the demo.
We're not gonna do this demo thing again. We're not gonna do it.
All right.
But I posted on Facebook that I'm really considering taking a day off when they arrive and renting a wedding dress and just roaming around town to see what happens. I'm gonna just hang out in some parks. See what happens.
But you gotta find somebody to play the groom. I'm gonna talk about you. I'm like, that's a dang shame. My cousin in the park in a wedding dress.
Look. If I could increase the probability of it happening from like beyond 0, if I could get to like 10% chance, I would do it.
Don't embarrass yourself, cuz.
I wouldn't be embarrassed when I was posted online next to Janet Jackson in my winter wedding dress. I would not.
And did you notice that in some of the footage, though, there was like a cameraman in the background? Do you think?
You pointed that out. There is. And I've seen him before. Remember when they surprised her with the birthday and the confetti and the balloons and all that?
Yeah.
He was walking backwards in that little shot, too.
So you think the Netflix deal is true?
I'm trying to get my hopes up because she told us not to believe things until she says them. And she hasn't said it.
But I kind of want it.
I know so much.
I kind of want it.
So much. And especially too, like with this behind the scenes with the tour and everything, like this is the perfect time. And I have to believe a little bit that some of the stuff she's doing in these various cities or whatever could be, I don't want to say fodder because I think that they get out and enjoy things as wherever they go when they can. But it could be good material for a documentary. Maybe that's driving some of these random videos we're seeing. So I'm hoping. I'm really hopeful. I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but I am very hopeful that we can get a documentary series that we can binge.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, in some not quite Janet news, but definitely someone who's joined the companies of Janet and Michael Jackson, Mr. Drake. He made history with his number one album, Scorpion. Have you listened to it?
Mm-mm. No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay.
So I'm honestly the only song I've heard is Kiki, and that is mostly because I'm sick of y'all and Kiki. I don't love neither one. I don't know.
Come on.
I'm so done.
Come on, man. Come on. You gotta love a good challenge.
You know, I didn't even know that was Drake until you told me so. And I don't have anything against Drake. Nothing. But I have nothing against him. But it's nothing that I have to run out and get. Like, I really don't quite understand the phenomenon. Like, I don't dislike him, and I think he's really good, but I guess I don't understand the phenomenon.
Because the reason why I think Drake is so successful is because he's always in his feelings. And as much as people try to act like they so hard and tough and all this and that, everybody's always in their feelings.
Yeah. So maybe that's it.
And then he puts a good beat and melody behind it. And next thing you know, we were thinking about a hotline bling. But if you check the charts, last week, Drake set a record with 7 songs to appear inside the top 10 on the top 100. And that was actually held by Janet with the Rhythm Nation 1814 project. So Drake is in some good company.
Definitely. Really, it was Janet and Michael who had accomplished that feat. And I think Janet had a little more impressive because I know she had the most top 5s inside of the top 7.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool for him. So you know what? I might consider listening to the album to see what's out there. But I will say, you know, and I am a Janet stan. So I do have, just hearing you say that, I do have 2 huge differences that to me should make Michael and Janet continue to stand alone.
Okay, break it down.
One, their albums didn't have 25 songs.
Yeah, you had a good 8 tracks. Maybe 10.
It was probably 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, too, the way that they do the Hot 100 now. So they didn't have the luxury of streaming or digital sales or that type of thing, right?
Mm-mm. You had to go out there and work it.
Yeah. So not to discount what Drake is doing because that's impressive. I mean, that not to take away, but I think we have to understand that it is a different thing that he's doing than what Michael and Janet did.
Right. I'm glad to know that he's being successful, and I do agree. And it comes to selling hard physical copies of a single or an album, Michael and Janet definitely deserve to keep that record. It's easier now to pick up your phone, and sometimes you don't even be looking for that single or that song, and it comes up and they get credit. So
yeah. And now we're in the era of anything can be a single, right? Like back then they had to select what went to the radio, and it was timed and, you know, over time. So Janet had songs on, I think from was this the Rhythm Nation album?
It's the Rhythm Nation.
She had songs in the top 10 from that one album in 3 consecutive years because that's how slowly the singles were dripping.
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Kudos to Drake because I don't have anything negative to say about him. Like I always like it when I don't know enough about him, so you all could like totally ruin this, but the seemingly good guy wins. Yeah. So I'm rooting for him, and I'm glad that if someone was going to get these accolades, that it is him, even though I'm not very familiar with his music. Maybe I'll do better, but I'm glad for him. Just want to point out that it is a very different thing than what was accomplished before. You know, you could pick any single that you want out of the 32 and you could do sound streaming counted and all those things. So it's just very different.
Mm-hmm. I'm just glad it's somebody other than Taylor Swift. Oh, did I say that? I said that out of love. I said that out of love.
Did you though? Because it did sound super loving. But all right. So let's get into this week's song.
This week's song is No Sleep. And I have a question to ask you because you're my wise older cousin.
Really?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. What is plush?
Yeah, so I don't know. Oh my. Toilet paper is plush.
And the reason why I asked that is because because you hear the groove of the song and then you hear plush.
Yes, yes.
And I'm
And
like,
I remember when they were tweeting, like, kind of the lead up, the build up to this single. Sometimes they say hashtag plush and hashtag conversations in a cafe. And eventually we came to understand conversations in a cafe, but I still don't know what plush is.
but anyway, plush definitely definitely stood out in that song. And No Sleep was the first single released in 7 years off her 11th studio album. When news broke that she was actually releasing some new material, it was like our thirst had been quenched.
It was.
We were ready.
I'm going to be honest. And this is, I don't even know how I feel about saying this.
Okay.
But I remember when she got married and moved, and I said to myself, we're never going to see Janet Jackson again. And I don't know why I said that, like she couldn't make an album from somewhere else, but it's like, this is it. We're never going to see her again. So,
I just thought of? I thought about the Jackson American Dream movie where Tito got married. The guy playing Michael says, "How can you do this to our fans? How can you get married? How can you do this to us?"
Yes, yes. And I wasn't even mad though, because I was just like, listen, she had a good run. She gave us more than we deserve. If this is the time for her to step away and just focus on her family and that, I'm good. But I literally in my mind had said that. So when this started dripping like she's coming back, I was like, oh my goodness. I was really, truly stunned and excited.
She had a great build up because when if I'm not mistaken, it was a tweet that I've been listening. Let's keep the conversation going. I was like, what conversation you been having, Jen? Man, I had to call my sister and say, hey, Janet said she been listening.
What we been saying?
what we talking about at the meeting? What was said?
Yes, that was a very interesting, but it was so her, the way that she introduced this single with, the little clip of the video that she tweeted out. And then, just with some of the tweets that she was sending out, it was very esoteric and it was very confusing and it was intriguing and sexy and perfectly her. Like, it was perfectly her is what it was. And it definitely made you pay attention and anticipate her return.
Yeah. And I was just so glad that she released something that was like real smooth and sexy and just the Janet that I love listening to. Cause I was saying to myself, Lord, if she come out with one of those trying to be like in the trap or hip hop
Yes.
songs, this ain't gonna work. But when I heard that groove, I was like, oh, that's my jam.
Yes. That's one of the things about this song is it was instantly catchy. It felt like when I heard That's the Way Love Goes, it was just an instant earworm.
It reminded me of Come Back to Me. Because when you hear first couple of seconds of Come Back to Me, you hear the keys. And you just know, like, if I hear those keys, I know, oh, this Come Back to Me. Hold up, let me turn my volume up.
You know what this song actually reminds me of? And it's not a Janet Jackson song. When I hear this song, and it could just be because I imagine her dancing, but I hear Mary J. Blige, Be Happy. It reminds me of that type of groove.
This single was actually released on June 23rd, which 2 months before the start of the sold out Unbreakable tour, which, yes, I got my first experience of Janet. Yes.
Oh, that was your first tour? I think I knew that. Or did I
Yeah.
forget? I knew that.
Yeah, and it was a shock because me and my sister was like, Janet going on tour. I was like, let's look at the tickets. And when we saw how reasonable the tickets were and the seats that we're going to get, we was like, let's do it. So we went and saw her in Memphis. But just the fact that when this song came out, the whole 2 months, I was just like, oh, no sleep.
He was amped.
I was ready.
Yes, yes. So you mentioned that you were worried that it was going to be like her trying to keep up with whatever the trend was.
Right.
We were going to get a trap soul Janet or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was so relieved. When I tell you, I was so relieved when I found out it was going to be produced by Jimmy and Terry with Janet Jackson.
I think it should be a clause in her contract that says she cannot do a project without Jimmy and Terry. No offense to other producers who worked on some Janet projects, but if it ain't got that Jimmy or that Terry, I just can't feel it. Just don't make my toes tap. You know?
Don't make your toes tap.
Don't make my toes tap.
I'm okay. Like, she's an artist, and I think that she should be able to experiment with whatever she wants to experiment with. And I also think that artists should be allowed to recreate themselves. Like I always say, if you want just more of the same stuff that they're already making, then listen to the albums you already got. But to this point, I just was so hungry for a new Janet Jackson, and I was just like, please don't be terrible. Please don't be terrible. Please don't. I'm going to listen anyways, and I'm going to pretend it's good, but please don't be terrible.
Please don't sound like what I've been listening to.
I was so excited. I was like, this is really good.
Yeah, because I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to say no names, but I heard a song on the radio today by an artist trying to make a comeback, and I heard it and I was just like, stay at home with the babies. Stay at home with this.
So this song launched her first single from her new record label. So this was her first production on Rhythm Nation Records.
This was kind of a surprise for me because I was like, I wonder why Janet never started her own label early on in her career, but I guess she felt like at this time was the perfect timing for that.
Yeah. I think it was different too. Like earlier in her career, starting a record label was way more expensive. It was just more expensive. You actually had to like press albums, and you had to have inventory, you had to ship it places, and recording equipment was different. So not that there were barriers to her entry, like she could have afforded it, she could have done it if that was something that she was interested in. So maybe it just wasn't the right time for her, like you said. Maybe it was just, this was a better time and probably a better deal, and probably just at this moment looking for a new challenge. And also when she was with Island, I think she was looking for more autonomy, because I can't recall it exactly, but like the Rock With You tour ended abruptly.
Yeah.
And I think it was to do with the record company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
was
didn't get
probably
the
like,
love.
we ain't gonna do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? There's a lot of artists that were on that Island label that was like, you know what? We gotta go. I don't know who was over that label at the time, but the leadership definitely wasn't quite up to par for Janet.
I'll have to look, but I do think LA Face was still there at that time. I gotta say, this was probably the time, she was with Jermaine, so she probably landed there because wasn't there some affiliation with So Def and LA Reid?
Yeah.
And then, yeah. So I'm
it
sure
was just a bad timing.
Yeah, it was rough. But that, man, I'm still upset about that tour. That was one of her best tours ever. And I will never forget that I did not get to see it before it was canceled. So let's get back to this song. The song really talks about her longing to reunite with a lover and thinking about all the things they're going to do when they're back together. They're not going to get any sleep. And again, I was reminded of how she can make a super sexy song and not be crass. She can be crass when she chooses to, but she also has the skill and the talent to write you just like an uber sexy song without being just wow.
It was so many catchy phrases in this song, but the one that comes to mind is Queen of Insomnia.
Yes. Insomnia is in the song, and then she got Fait Accompli in the song. Like, ma'am, what are you doing?
Yeah. But I mean, I always tell people sometimes a great song, it's just got to have that feeling. It doesn't have to be complex, and it don't have to be very graphic. It just got to have, it's got to be able to touch you in a way, but yet still get a point across.
Yeah, I mean, she's a great storyteller. So all of her songs, like, you can almost see what's happening.
Another thing I liked about it was she wasn't trying to do too much as far as production. It wasn't a whole lot going on. And it just felt like she went back to her roots with this song.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you need, you know what I'm saying? Because I think about other stars who come out with comebacks and they just go back to what actually worked for them in the past. Like, this is what my lane is and this is what I'm sticking to.
Yeah. And this song almost didn't make the track list, is what I understand. So, Jimmy says that it was basically one of the last tracks they recorded. He said it was like 5 a.m. and they had completed a full day. So they called it No Sleep because they were still awake and they weren't getting any sleep. He said they didn't do anything with it, and months went by. And Terry Lewis was using Jam's computer looking for something, and he discovered this track. And so they played it for Janet, and she, of course, immediately liked it. So she just decided that she was going to write to it. So this almost didn't make the album, which would have been a tragedy, because this ended up being her longest #1 on the Billboard R&B adult charts.
And you know what? I was surprised about that because I thought That's the Way Love Goes would have been on the charts like way longer at #1.
Yeah. So you know what? I don't know. Hold on. Let me just look and then I can tell us. I think the adult charts was like a recent creation.
Oh, okay.
Well, she could have made it. Its first chart came out in September 1993.
September? Okay, that makes sense because That's the Way Love Goes came out in what, April? That's why. Okay. And it's No Sleep. Spent 7 consecutive weeks at #1.
Yeah, it actually was on the charts for 10 weeks, I think. So those 7 consecutive weeks, and then it made some like sneak appearances, a week here and a week there.
I like what Vibe actually said about this track. They described the track as the metal soundscape sounds like Janet literally just got some incense, sat down on the studio floor, and let the words flow from her mouth without a second thought. Anytime I play a Janet track, it's definitely some candles, some incense, and it's definitely going to be a nice night.
She said she lights candles in the studio and incense and all that. So maybe Vibe is exactly right.
And plus, Janet was in a happy place because she tweeted that this song was for her hubby at the time. You can say his name because I'm not.
Oh, I can't say his name because I can't. I read an article where they were like, he goes by Sam. And I said,
okay, Sam.
I don't know if I trust that. We'll just call him Mr. Almana.
Alrighty. And then the video was actually directed by Mr. Dave Myers.
Once again, she teamed up with Dave Myers a couple times.
Yeah.
One was our What Have You Done For Me Lately remix, which was All For You.
Yeah. I didn't know where you was taking me. I was like, what have you done for me lately? Remix.
I just feel like those videos are so similar. They just were made in different decades. He also did Make Me, or that we'll talk about it at some future date.
In the video, Janet's inside a mansion on a late night during a rainstorm. And she's just walking around the house and waiting on her honey to come over. Oh, and the cool thing about this video, is she featured some pictures of her and Joe Jackson. I guess that's a dedication to him. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of weird, actually.
Okay.
So the video has several pictures of her as a kid. And I think the most prominent one is the one with her and her father. It's like projected on the wall. But there's several other pictures of her as a tiny tot throughout the video. And it made no sense to me. Like, why is kid Jan on the wall when you singing about getting ready to bone your man.
Well, hear me out when I put this out here.
I'm ready. Let's work it out.
I'm not high, but I'm thinking she's saying that waiting on her boo make her feel like a kid again. Ba-dum-ts.
That's deep. I don't know if that's what she's saying, but I am going to take it.
Please do. Please do. I don't even smoke, but I think
I'm going to take the money and run.
Take it. I'm telling you, take it. Take it. Now, one thing about the video I didn't like, which I know I shouldn't say because I'm a Janet fan, I didn't kind of like the way they did J. Cole. He looked a little too computerized or something.
It was weird. Though I thought his portion was the most interesting portion of the video. Even though he looked like Hubert in a video game popping up everywhere. I thought it was the most visually interesting because the video, and this is hard for me to say, and everybody should get one of these, but this was like the most unambitious video Janet Jackson has ever made. And it hurts me to say that, but the truth is one of them would have to be the most unambitious, and it's certainly this one.
She tried.
I don't know. I still enjoyed it, but I thought like the only parts that were like really interesting that kind of made you think like, well, what's going on here was the part with J. Cole. And, you know, he was multiplied. Like the question I had in my mind was like, why so many J. Coles?
Because he was the way the movement of his hands kind of was that. I think they were just trying to make an effect with his lyrics and stuff. Because he had a dope verse.
I picked up on that. Like there was a part when he says, you give me butterflies and a butterfly appears. So I'm convinced that they went back and were like, okay, how can we make this a touch more interesting? Someone was like, can we add CGI butterflies?
I need a butterfly right here.
So, I mean, they tried and it's pretty. And, you know, I'm a sucker for pretty. It's gorgeous. I like the blue hue of it all. Janet looks amazing.
Yes.
I like the jewelry and the hat and the hair, everything. She's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. But we could have done with less computerized. J. Cole.
Well, yeah. Again, I guess we're going to disagree there because I feel like that helped it a little bit.
You wanted to take away the childhood photos, and I want to take away Jake. I wanted J. Cole to be there. Just be there. This your chance. You on a track with Janet. You show up for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knock on the door. Hey, I'm here. I know y'all wasn't expecting me. Where I need to be.
Oh, we didn't even talk about my favorite version of the song. Like No Sleep itself, the natural version is phenomenal. But that remix with the Middle Eastern beat, the Afshin or Afshin remix. Oh my goodness. I almost murdered myself dead in the shower. Dancing way too hard.
Okay, Annalise. I need you to do better. Yeah. I don't know if I've heard this one.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I can go on.
It touched your soul that much, huh?
You really missing out, and I don't want that life for you.
Okay, you act like I'm on some drugs. I don't want that life for you. Stay away from that corner.
When we hang up, your homework is to listen to that remix. Oh my goodness. Then you need to text me and let me know. Because I'm telling you, it's 3 minutes of fire.
Okay, if my knee go out, I'm going to blame you and send you the doctor bill.
You can send it.
Might not get paid, but
you send it anywhere you want. So let's talk about, we don't really have any TV performances, but we do have some live performances of No Sleep. The first time we saw her was on the Unbreakable tour. Yes. And she's continuing to perform it on the State of the World tour as well.
The one thing I remember about seeing her on tour doing the Unbreakable was the fact that, you know, when J. Cole's part came on, he was like appearing on the screen.
On the big screen.
Yes. And the fact that everybody in the stadium was just rocking, because I saw her in Memphis at the FedEx, And everybody was rocking, and Janet was looking good. She looked like she was back to her old self. She was just having fun. And the atmosphere, just being surrounded by so many fans, so many people that loved her as much as you love her. That's like one of my most memorable nights ever.
I think that song sounds amazing live.
Hmm.
It sounds great on the album, but just live when you're in the building and you can feel the bass and her band, they're phenomenal. And it really is one of the highlights, even though like it doesn't like it has a dance routine and
Hmm.
it's okay.
Oh,
But
you didn't like the Bobby Sherman dance that she does?
I didn't care. I mean, the music was so good. It didn't matter.
Man, that was it right there. I was like, go on, Janet.
I'm glad it touched your soul.
Oh, it did, because I was like, yes, Janet, that's how you do it. That's how you
Yes.
do it. Hot boy style. What?
That's one of my favorite moments of the show, just because it's a slow jam. Sometimes on the slow jam she sits down, but this one she like gets up and really commands the audience, and it sounds so good, and they look good, and it's just good.
Yeah, and that hair was blowing.
Yeah, yeah. And in the State of the World tour, this was where on the first one. So I don't know what she's wearing now during that song, but when she had like the plaid layers with the gray T-shirt, but I remember particularly she had the key in her ear in this song. And I just I love that key. Like, I love that she put all of those little throwbacks or those callbacks to her own career in her show. So I love that.
Yeah.
Now, this song came out in 2015, and, we mentioned that we hadn't seen her in forever. I think like 6 or 7 years it had been since we'd seen her. And I have to credit BET with, I call it the Breadcrumb Award. Because
they just needed her on the show.
They sprinkled them breadcrumbs out and got her to come out with the 2015 BET Ultimate Icon Award.
Man, you sugarcoating it. They invented an award to get Janet there.
No doubt. But you know what? She deserved it. She deserved it. But it was truly made up. Like, somebody sat in a room around the table and was like, what we got to do to get Janet?
Tell Janet we're going to give her an award. Can she make it? And then I was disappointed because she didn't perform. And I'm like, man, Janet, you could have performed something.
I'm convinced she didn't even sit down in that building. I think
she stayed in her limo eating her Popeyes until they said, okay, you about to hit the stage. All right.
Because I feel like she was like early-ish in the show.
Yeah.
And, they put the camera on Joseph and Catherine that one time, and we ain't see them no more the whole show.
Nah. So
some seat fillers came.
Yeah. I don't even know if any other family members came.
She was like, let's ride. Let's ride. I don't know if anybody else came because I don't remember seeing pictures, but I bet if anybody else did, it was Rebe. Because I love that Rebe will show up for Janet. She will show up, and you don't even know she's there until you see pictures after the fact. And he was like, oh, Rebe was there?
I don't blame Rebe. You got free tickets. All right. What color we wearing?
Well, she said that Janet really is her baby because, kind of like my mom and Kathy were. She was of the age where you was basically the main caretaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. Like, she's very proud of her baby sister.
Yeah, and she should be, because Janet has definitely accomplished a lot in her 52 years here on Earth.
Yes, and still going strong, man. Sometimes she make me question, like, what you doing with your life? So I think you got to find what works for you, and she definitely found what works for her.
Well, right now what works for me is that 2-piece from Popeye.
Here you go. That doesn't work for anybody.
Man.
That works for 0 people.
I bet you won't be ashy afterwards.
No, you will not. Any last words about No Sleep?
I just know that No Sleep is definitely on my playlist. I'm not going to say the name of the playlist, but it's definitely on my playlist.
By not naming the playlist, we all know what playlist it's on.
Hey, it gets me warmed up. It's my warm-up song. I ain't gonna tell you what my finale song is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So this has been fun. I definitely enjoyed revisiting this song because I don't think I've seen this video in probably a couple years.
Really?
So I definitely enjoyed revisiting this song and seeing the video. This was her longest running number one on the adult R&B chart. So just another reminder that many decades into her career, she is still finding ways to break records, her own and others.
Now it's time for our next segment.
All right, cuz, what's making you want to scream this week?
I have a peeve.
Not even a pet peeve. You just have a peeve.
It peeves me to death. And can you believe it? Anyways, I'm trying to say that real fast. It peeves me when people see me eating a burger and going, "What you eating?" I mean, you see me, I'm eating food. And then they follow it up with, "Well, if you're not going to eat all of that, just remember I'm on the other side." Wait a minute, time out. I'm not, who says I have a business called Kimmy Shareables where if I don't eat lunch, I'm going to share it with you? No, let me eat my lunch, my dinner, my breakfast in peace. I don't feel like doing a Food Network show with you. Like, oh, don't do that. And then don't point at my food because I have a fear that your finger is going to touch something on my plate. And I don't know where that finger's been.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm going to put like a church fan and put Janet's finger, and I will not. Are you going to give me a piece? I will not. No. So that's what's making me want to scream.
Too funny.
Okay, so what's making you want to scream, cuz?
What is making me want to scream is I am all caught up on Power.
What you mean all caught up? Like you were behind?
Yes, I was majorly behind. And so I was able to binge into the new season. And now I don't have any more to binge. I have to wait week by week like a commoner.
Okay, first of all, I'm mad that you were behind. You don't miss an episode of Power, a ghost.
I do miss episodes, and I had to block several family members on Facebook who want to talk about the show. Like, I'm not gonna do this with you.
No, now you know you are at fault because you got to be on time with Power.
Listen, Power don't pay my rent. I watched the most recent one after, I got through all of the episodes that I was behind. And when I got to the end, I was like, oh no.
So who's your favorite character on Power?
That's a tough question because they're all so good for so many different reasons.
Except Kanan. No offense to 50.
I'm going to be honest.
Uh-oh.
Kanan and Tommy are probably my favorite.
Tasha's my favorite.
I like Tasha. And I even liked Angie, even though she goes against everything I stand for, because I hate being forced into rooting for the mistress.
She the devil too, though.
It's like she's a character that you think you know what she stands for, and I'm like, you really don't stand for nothing.
Nah, not really. She want power. That's what it is.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying it. But it did make me scream when I got to the end, and I was like, oh, so I gotta wait? I don't like this feeling at all. So that's it for us this week. On behalf of myself, Courtney Stribling, and my cousin Kam, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us. If you'd like to reach us, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at JJTodayPod. That's at JJTodayPod. Our intro and outro music, Good For You by THBD, is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license.